Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us today on the KCWC channel. That stands for Kentucky Christian Writers Conference. And my name is Sarah R. Turnquist. I am a writer, and this year it is my honor to serve as the coordinator for Kentucky Christian Writers Conference 2025. Now, I have a couple of people here with me to chat with us today. We have the amazing Twila Belk and our technical director, Greg L. Turnquist. He is here for those technical issues that we have from time to time. But I want us to spend some time chatting with Twila. She is on faculty this year, not for the first time, with Kentucky Christian Writers Conference. And we are just so excited that you're going to be joining us, Twila. Tell us a little about yourself, maybe where you live and what you do for fun.
Okay, well, again, my name is Twila Belk, and I'm known as the Gotta Tell Somebody gal. I'm a writer and speaker who loves bragging on God. I live in Bettendorf, Iowa. Maybe you Kentuckians or wherever you're from have never heard of Iowa, but we're out here. We grow corn in Iowa, not potatoes. I'm from an area known as the Quad Cities. I'm right along the Mississippi River, and just a couple miles down the road is the home of the American Pickers, if you've ever heard of that show. Across the river from me is the Rock Island Arsenal, where Ashley and Gone with the Wind was buried, and there's also the home of John Deere. So that's where I'm from, and what do I do for fun? Well, for many years in my family, we have had what's called the Belk rule, and that's there's no fun allowed. See, there's a sign right behind me that says no fun allowed here. And so my kids grew up with that rule, and my grandkids, and for some reason people just don't get it. They keep having fun, so they're breaking the rule all the time. But what I do enjoy is I enjoy laughter and encouraging laughter. I enjoy encouraging people and planning events and getting people together, and I especially love talking about God and learning more about Him.
Sounds like one of my favorite things too.
Now, you mentioned all your questions there, or I can't remember if I missed
did.
It. I did. Wow,
you did.
Off to a good start.
Capital start. But you mentioned that you are known as the Gotta Tell Somebody gal. That sounds really intriguing to me. Where did that come from? And maybe tell us why you're called that.
Well, for many, many years, I have been saying, after God has done something amazing in my life, it says, I just got to tell somebody. And it just is something that came out of me naturally. So I became the Gotta Tell Somebody gal. And like I said, I love bragging on God. And I found out that the more I brag on God, the more He gives me to brag about. So I just got to tell somebody. But it works in a lot of ways. One time, as I was leading a writers' conference, I used to run a conference here in the Quad Cities for several years, and I was talking about all my diverse background and all the things I've done. I'm a journey machinist from the Rock Island Arsenal. I have worked with neurosurgeons doing transcription, and I have owned a Christian bookstore. My husband and I owned a vending company. I've worked with young people and old people, and God brought it to my attention that I can talk with old people, young people, brain surgeons, white collar workers, blue collar workers. I can talk Coke and Pepsi. I can talk books and Bibles. I can talk lathes and mills, and I can sometimes speak in Spanish. I'm not so good there anymore, but God brought it to my attention that I'm the Gotta Tell Somebody gal, and I can talk to a lot of people in a lot of different ways and relate with them. So that was pretty cool to find out. So you might just hear me saying, I just got to tell somebody every once in a while.
That is a really special gift, I think, that God has given people like you, Twila, that can talk to so many different kinds of people. It's more than being an extrovert. It's really just, God flows out of you and reaches to other people. And I think that is just amazing. So we are talking with writers specifically.
Yes.
What sort of books do you write?
Well, I write nonfiction, Christian living, devotions, devotionals. I'm also doing a bit of ghostwriting. I've done some of that, and I've helped a lot of people with their own book projects as well. I've smoothed them out. I've done some editing. It seems like God has been dropping a lot of different editing projects in my lap, kind of out of the blue, that I didn't expect. So I've kind of enjoyed those and helped people make their messages stronger and just easier to read, and just that kind of thing.
Yeah, I love that you're pouring into other writers, and that is one of my personal passions as well, is to kind of, the things that God has taught me, the things that other mentor writers have taught me, to just pass that on to the up and coming and aspiring writers. I love that you're really involved with that too. So for your time at Kentucky Christian Writers Conference this year, you're slated to teach 3 workshops, and they are working writer, say it with humor, and writing Devos. Can you tell us a little bit? Maybe don't give away all the goods, but tell us a little bit about these workshops.
We'd be here all day if I had to give away all the goods. But anyhow, with a working writer, that's become one of my most requested talks. But a lot of people think they're going to get rich from writing books. Someday I'm going to write a book and I'm going to be rich and stuff. But there's a sobering truth that very few writers make a living writing books. So we are going to talk about how to diversify and different sources and streams of income, and I'm going to fill you with all kinds of ideas and thinking about things you've never thought about before. We might even take an imaginary trip around a Christian bookstore and pick up some thoughts there. And the thing with writers, we don't often think about, we think about books, but everything you've read, any words that you've ever read, have been written by someone. So why not you? And so we're going to talk about all the other things that we could be doing, and different services we could provide, a lot of things. So that's the working writer class. And the Say It With Humor class, well, we're going to talk about the benefits of using humor in our work. We're going to talk about where to find humor, how to incorporate it in our writing. We're going to talk a lot about humor. And if you get nothing out of this class at all, maybe you'll get a few laughs. And laughter is good. Yeah. And then writing devos. Not only are devotions a great way to break into the writing world, but they often can reach a wider audience than and have a bit bigger impact than a 50,000 word book. It's amazing how a devotion can touch people. I have so many stories to tell. So we're going to learn about the important elements of writing devotions and the opportunities available to you.
Excellent. I am so excited about all 3 of those workshops. But I think probably the working writer is the one that I am the most intrigued about. So your teaching style specifically, would you say that you're more of an instructional teacher, interactive, inspirational, some of each of those?
Yep, I would say that. I would say I'm a blend of all 3. I love to interact. I love to teach. I love to inspire and give, encourage new ideas. So I'm a blend of all 3.
Excellent. And you may have answered my next question. I really am curious what participants can expect to walk away with after attending one of your workshops. You've talked about inspiring writers. Is there anything else that you would say they're going to walk away with?
Well, I hope they're going to walk away with a brain flowing with great ideas, some aha moments, some encouragement, and maybe even a smile. So my job, I just love helping writers on their next steps, and I'm hoping that you'll get a lot out of these classes, and be glad that you came, and feel encouraged to feel like you can really do it, because you are there for a reason. God called you to do something, and you might think it's to learn how to write, but maybe he has you there for a completely different reason. Who knows? But my job is to encourage you along the way, and to answer any questions that you have.
Yeah, I heard the term somewhere along the way, and I really like it, that writers are paper missionaries, or Christian writers are paper missionaries. And I just love that picture, that we are reaching people that may never set foot in a church, that may never darken the door of a sanctuary, but they'll pick up a book that looks interesting to them and learn about God, learn about faith, learn what it looks like to walk with God and to trust him. And I just love that picture. But you are mentioning, and the course I said I was very interested in, the working writer. In your description, it says a little bit about self-care, and we hear a lot about self-care these days in our culture and the need for that. And I appreciate that we are becoming more aware of the fact that we as people need to take some time to step back. But what are some ways that you would encourage writers to practice self-care?
Well, self-care is more than just physical. It's also spiritual and mental. And we need a healthy balance of all three. They all affect each other. And I went through some extreme times of stress in my life, and especially I was carrying a big load, and I was working full-time hours with Cecil Murphy, a well-known writer in the industry, and I was working and writing books and teaching, and carrying a huge load of responsibility for my family, caregiving 24/7 for my husband, and all that. And so there was no balance at all. And it's like, I ended up having to give up a lot to take care of my husband. And it's just like, Lord, is this all there is to my life? If this is it, I don't, it's just like, it's crazy. So I was under a lot of stress, and it was hard to deal with. So after my husband died, I learned some lessons about myself. I need to give myself grace. And I think that's something for all of us. We need to give ourselves grace. And we need to have that healthy balance, and to do the things that are good for us. And when I think about, just the mental part of self-care, and we need to watch out for some things that really affect us in a lot of ways. And those are negativity from ourselves and other people and the media. That's a big thing these days, with all the messages we're getting in, and the comparison game, and the imposter syndrome, and perfectionism. And all these things hit us when we least expect it, and they affect our writing and the other things we do, our self-care. So some good habits that we can practice. I've learned that our minds play games with us. I don't know if you've ever seen that. If we let them go out and play a little bit, they get deeper and deeper, and pretty soon we're in a really deep pit that it's hard. So some good habits to practice for our mental health care and our self-care is to rehearse truth and repeat it often. And that's important for us to do, because the devil is a big fat liar, and we are writers of truth, and we want truth to get into the world. So we need to have that truth within ourselves, and we need to give ourselves positive messages and hang out with positive, encouraging people. We're going to find those people at the Kentucky Christian Writers Conference, and we're going to we need to remember God's hand in what it is that we're doing. We need to express gratitude and give ourselves grace, and focus on what we can control rather than what we can't. So that doesn't hit all of the self-care, but those are some things I know that have affected me, there's a lot of things that I could be doing for my self-care that I'm not yet, but little by little, we need to celebrate every positive step forward.
Yes, I agree with that wholeheartedly. One of the missions that I feel that God has pressed on my heart is for writers, particularly that Christian writers that struggle with mood disorders, depression, things like
Yeah,
that. I have a history of a depressive disorder, and I did some research and found that 80% of the artistic population struggles with a mood disorder, most of them a depressive or bipolar disorder. And the average in the population at large is only 12%. So to jump to 80% in the artistic population, that's amazing as far as like just the number of people that are struggling. And I love what you're saying about speaking truth to yourself, giving yourself grace. These are all things that are in God's word,
yeah.
and that I think we need those reminders. So I love that you're saying these things and that you're sharing these things with writers. It just makes my little heart happy.
Oh,
Yeah. So one last thing before I let you go. What is your favorite thing about writers' conferences, and why should someone sign up for one?
oh boy, I could tell you so many good things about writers' conferences. Actually, I just got back from my fifth conference so far since the end of February, just a couple of days ago. So the Kentucky conference will be my seventh. And I have just, it's so many wonderful things happen at conferences. I see there's relationships are developed, the connections are made. Some of these connections and relationships are going to be lifelong, and who knows, you might end up writing books together or endorsing each other's work or whatever. And one of the best things about writers' conferences is the divine appointments. And
Mm.
I tell people, I encourage this so much, is to pray for divine appointments. I've had so many, but my very first conference in 1998, that was the Right to Publish conference in Wheaton, Illinois.
Mm.
And I went there shaking in my boots, and I was praying, Lord, would you, have some, I prayed a lot of prayers, and some of them turned out in really funny ways. But I prayed that he would connect me with the right people and that he would have someone take me under their wing. Well, it was there that I met a man by the name of Cecil Murphy. And he
Mm.
saw something in me, and he wanted me to stay in touch with him. And I'm like, why would you want me to stay in touch with you? You have thousands of people who want your attention. And so I stayed in touch with him. He got me set up with email. I stayed in touch with him for a while, and then I thought, no, he doesn't need me to bother him. And I
Mm.
saw him again a couple of years later, and as soon as he saw me, he says, why haven't you stayed in touch with me? I says, why would you
Mm.
want me to stay in touch with you? And he says, because I see you as one of God's champions.
Mm.
And so that's why I also call myself the writer's champion, because he championed me. And I don't know if many of you know who Cecil Murphy is, but he's written more than 140 books, and he has invested in writers in many, many ways. And he's now retired. I'm still working with him. I started working with him full time in
Mm.
2007, and I'm still working with him and doing things for him. And because of him, I have a wide knowledge or vast experience in this industry. I'm connected. I know a lot of people. I know, I know the industry in a lot of ways inside and out. And that's what, being under his umbrella has taught me how to help other writers. And so I want to
Mm.
do for others what he did for me. And so he was a divine appointment. And,
Mm.
I just never would have expected anything like that. But at the conference I was just at, I saw many people having divine appointments, and they would come up to
Mm.
me and tell me their stories. And it was just so encouraging. And so
Mm.
you need that as writers. It's something that will encourage you. It will get you out there and developing relationships. And, writers are weird. And yeah, have you noticed that? we do weird things, and not everybody understands us. So it's really great to be in a place where other weird people are, and you get each other. And so if you can get to a conference, to the Kentucky Christian Writers Conference, I would suggest you really do it. I've been there a few times before, and they have all been great experiences for me.
Wonderful. I'm so glad. And thank you again for speaking with us. Greg has put down below across the screen, I don't know what that's called, but it is the link to our website at Kentucky, or it's kychristianwriters.com. And you can learn about registration. You can learn more about Twila there and the classes that she's teaching. And you can get in touch with us if you have any questions that are not answered on the website. So again, Twila, thank you so much for your time and for joining us this year for Kentucky Christian Writers Conference. I'm excited to see you in person and be able to shake your hand or hug your neck, whichever one is more appropriate.
Well, I love hugs. And I don't say hug your neck, but I know you Southerners do. So I'm there to be hugging necks, okay? And I just love it.
We're a little weird here in the South, aren't we?
Oh, I love it. I love it.
All right. Well, I will close this here and look forward to seeing those of you out there watching this. I look forward to seeing you on the website and hopefully at the conference as well. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks for having me.